Hey everyone, welcome to your Mastery Path. As you are probably aware of already, we're going to be working on equivalent fractions. In the last part, you took a quiz to practice with equivalent fractions and so that we could know what you understand about equivalent fractions. And now you're on a path that is specifically designed for you. And here is the beginning of that where we get to work together. So you've seen this before in mini lesson, but with equivalent fractions, we're able to decide if they're equivalent or not if they're the same length or the same size. So here with this area model, we can see they're the same length, so they're equivalent fractions, but the whole must be the same size. So here the whole is the length of this red bar, and the red bar is the same length here. And 2/3 is represented with the orange, and 4/6 is represented with the blue. But they are being made from the same whole, so they're equivalent. But over here, the whole is the length of this red bar for the 2/3 fraction, but it's only the length of the pink bar for this 4/6 section. So 2/3 is not equal to 4/6 here because the size of the wholes are different. So as you draw number lines or you draw pictures today, make sure the size of your whole is the same and you are partitioning into equal pieces. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about ways that we can find equivalent fractions. You're probably really good at deciding if two fractions are equal, but I think we could use some practice making equivalent fractions. So I've got 4/5 here, and I want to know if there's a fraction equal to 4/5. And as I think about that, I made a picture down here of what 4/5 looks like. And I know that if I partitioned each of these pieces in half, I would be making a new fraction. But 4/5 is still in my picture. So in the green tiles, I have 4/5, but now I've partitioned these pieces in half. So now I've taken each piece and made 2 out of them. So I had 5 pieces, but I made 2 in each of those pieces. So I did 5 times 2, and that equals 10. So now there are 10 total pieces represented in my picture. And how many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 pieces shaded. So if I multiplied that denominator, all the pieces by 2, that means I also multiplied each of those green pieces by 2 because I made 2 pieces in each of those green pieces. So I've multiplied by 2, and that makes 8 total pieces, which is 8/10. And this fraction is exactly the same, 8/10, as 4/5, because the same amount is shaded for both of these fractions still. Now, I'm wondering if you can try it with 3/6. Go ahead and get Braining Camp open and do what I just did with 4/5, or use your tiles, or draw a picture or a number line to help you decide what fraction is equal to 3/6 if I partition all of those pieces in half. What fraction would be equivalent to 3/6? Enter that into PlayPosit now. Okay, let's check. Well, over here I partitioned them in half. I'm going to do the same over here. All of those pieces I'm going to partition, into half. And I'm not changing how many are shaded. I'm just changing how many pieces we see. And when I do that, I'm making 2 pieces out of 1. So I'm multiplying all those pieces by 2 because I'm now representing 2 pieces with each piece. And that means there's 12 total pieces now. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 should be our denominator. But I also took those 3 shaded pieces and made 2 pieces out of those. That's giving me 6 pieces now. And I haven't changed the shading, so it's still taking up the same amount of space in the whole. So 6/12 is equal to 3/6. Now, let's try thinking about if we partition it in a different way. So here we did them in half. We can also partition it in each piece into thirds or fourths or fifths. So we can multiply that numerator or denominator by any number. So let's try by 3. So if I multiply 2/3 by 3, that means I'm making 3 pieces out of each piece. That would give me 6 total shaded pieces. Let's see. I'm going to partition each into thirds. There's 1, and there's 3. There's 1, and there's 3. So now I have, like I said, 6 total pieces shaded here. Now, if I continue to do that, so all my pieces are the same size, I'm going to have 24 total pieces because I'm going to partition all of these into thirds. Now, it doesn't change how long my picture is. It only changes the size of the pieces. So these fractions are still equivalent even though the size of the pieces are different sizes. They are still equivalent because they take up the same amount of space. Now I want you to think about 3/4. Draw a picture. It could be this picture, just like mine. Could be a number line. It could be you looking at your tiles and splitting them up. Choose a number to partition each piece into. It could be 3. It could be 2. It could be any number you'd like, but make sure it's one that you can easily see in your picture. You could do 4. And think about what equivalent fraction you could make to equal 3/4. Enter into play pause it when you're done. All right, I'm going to choose 4. So I know if I partition the 3 shaded pieces into fourths, it would look something like this. So there's 4 pieces in that one piece. Now there's 4 more. And there's 4 more. So I have a total of 12 pieces here, and guess what? 3 times 4 is 12. Now if I were to keep going for the denominator so that all the pieces are the same size, I would multiply 4 times 4, and I should now have 16 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And this is an equivalent fraction to 3/4 because it takes up the same amount of space, even though the size of the pieces are different. So I hope what you're seeing here is that when you multiply the numerator or the denominator by the same amount, we did the same amount here, 4 and 4, and that made equivalent fraction. Here we multiplied by the same amount, 3 and 3, and it made an equivalent fraction. Over here we multiplied by 2 and 2. It made an equivalent fraction. 2 and 2 again, it made an equivalent fraction. I hope you're seeing that if you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same amount, you're going to find an equivalent fraction. Now you'll get to explore and practice more with this when you go to independent practice. Once you're done with this video, scroll down and click next, and you're going to see some options that you have to continue practicing this today. We're so excited to see the work that you do. Have fun and click next to see what you need to do next.